the last thing I want them to do is imitate me. That would be very sad for me to see kind of pitiful Xerox copy of myself in my students. This, I would consider this a failure. This is what Casals wanted. My last teacher was Pablo Casals, and he was a great artist, but he was as pedagogically incorrect as you can imagine. He would sit there, well, there was the age difference. He was 90, I was 20. I mean, try to imagine. So you go into the lesson trembling, and by the end of the lesson you have lost 5 pounds, and people pay tickets. 500 people buy tickets to see you being thrown into the crocodiles, you know? So this is not exactly the ideal learning environment. Right. It's horrendous. It's traumatic. And he would play a phrase, and he would insist that you would imitate the slightest nuance, exactly the way he played it. You did not exist. There was this amazing Casals on a pedestal, and then, there's nobody there. You were not there. And he would play a phrase, and you had to imitate everything exactly, timing, sound, the way. So you had to suspend any conviction that you had, and if you wanted to benefit from this at all, and just try to absorb a certain tradition, a certain way of thinking, a certain approach to music that he had, and this it was certainly worthwhile. It was probably a life-changing experience for me.
Sure.
But I wouldn't want to subject my students to this way of there was one piece, the Brahms Sonata, that I used to have nightmares after the lesson about, because he would go, "No!" in my face, waving his hand like this. And for 10 years I could not play this piece. And then I finally, it's like breaking away from your parents.
Right.
And you say, "Okay, now, I'm a parent too. I'm going to do it my way now." And then you take all this information and knowledge and tradition, and you allow yourself to become who you really are. So I try to avoid this 10-year period for my students, and we have a very different relationship. And my biggest concern is finding who they are, their voice, and cultivating that voice. Eugene Delacroix, the painter, said something that is another one of my mottos. He says, "Cultivate what people reproach you for, because that's you." So it's wonderful. In other words, someone disagrees with you because you do something, it means that you're onto something. You just haven't found yet exactly how to express it, but stay with it, because this may be you. Don't just cross it. Don't discard it. On the contrary, cultivate it, because the real you may be hiding right there in the criticism of other people. So I listen carefully to my students. I try to find out who they are, what their voice is. And then, of course, we have to combine it with the intention of the composer, with the tradition. And with more knowledge comes more freedom. We know that. The more ignorant you are, the more you have to stick to the narrow path, because you don't know any better. And knowledge gives you freedom, so you can take chances, you can improvise, you can do daring things.